Thereza Lieberman Kipnis. Thereza was my supervisor, my mentor, my friend. My first encounter with her was in the early 80s. Determined to understand the complexity of immunology, I knocked on her door. Everything happened very quickly. Within a short time in her lab, I had my first contact with Nelson Vaz and Antonio Coutinho during a course organized by Thereza. And then my first trip to Paris. She had a gift for making things happen, a gift gained for her great life experience. Thereza was born in 1938 in the city of Poços de Caldas, Minas Gerais. She graduated in biological sciences from the University of São Paulo, USP, in 1968. Decided to be a researcher, a year before graduation, she began working at the Department of Microbiology of USP Medical School. 2 years later, in 1969, she was already teaching in this department. But she didn't stop there. In that same year, she took a specialization course on the immunology program of the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization at the Butantan Institute, coordinated by Otto Bier. In 1972, she was accepted on the immunology course of WHO in Switzerland, coordinated by David Rowe. From 1970 to 1973, she did her PhD thesis at USP, under the supervision of Ivan Mota. Despite a serene and introspective character, Ivan Mota was a vibrant researcher who, some years before, had clarified the molecular mechanisms of allergy. Thereza's PhD thesis was entitled Thereza also took several postdocs from 1978 to 1992 at the National Institute of Health with Alan Scher and Kate Joyner, at Harvard University with John Dave, and at Pasteur Institute with Antonio Coutinho. During her postdoc with Alan Scher, Thereza began her studies on evasion mechanisms of Trypanosoma cruzi to the lytic activity of the complement system, in collaboration with Vilmar Dias da Silva. These studies revealed that resistance to complement-mediated lysis in T. cruzi is due to the expression of a complement regulatory factor at the parasite surface, a landmark in this area of knowledge. This regulatory molecule, named TDAF, was functionally and biochemically characterized and the respective gene sequenced. Thereza was professor in the Department of Immunology, USP, for 26 years, the last 10 ones as associate professor. In 1995, she retired and became Provost of Research and Graduate Studies at the State University of Norte Fluminense, UENF, an innovative institution idealized by Darcy Ribeiro. At the same time, as a full professor, she directed the Laboratory of Recognition Biology at this university until 2008. One of the most remarkable features of Thereza was her great ability to make things happen. Alongside Vilmar Dias da Silva, Ivan Mota, and other colleagues, she helped to establish the Department of Immunology at USP. At the time of its creation, in 1974, this department belonged to the medical school and later on became part of the Institute of Biomedical Sciences. She also helped to conceive and consolidate the Brazilian Society of Immunology, being a member of the board from 1981 to 1982. Thereza was also visionary when she built, in the late 80s, the inbred animal house of the Department of Immunology USP. With a very modern structure for the time, which was based on her experiences in international research centers, it has been an important reference in Brazil until today. She was also dedicated to the ethics in animal experimentation, a concept ahead of time for those days. During her career, Thereza was dedicated to immunology of infectious diseases and poisoning by snake venoms. She supervised about 25 master's and doctoral students, as well as many undergraduate students. Several of them occupy prominent positions in Brazilian research. Her international connections also paved the way for many Brazilian researchers who followed her footsteps. But incredibly, she still had time and energy to raise 4 wonderful children and many grandchildren. Thereza also helped to conceive and organize the Yakult Advanced Immunology courses, which greatly contributed to the training of many leader scientists currently working in immunology in Brazil. Susumu Tanegawa and Antonio Coutinho initially proposed these courses, but Thereza made them possible. The first one took place in 1986 at Anambatuba's beach, where Thereza had a beautiful house. These delicious meetings were repeated in 1989, 1991, 95, and 97. Thereza's legacy continues. At her request, I became the supervisor of 2 of her best students at UENF. Erika Salles and Eduardo Amaral will defend their postdoctoral thesis soon. Moreover, through one of Thereza's doors, Eduardo spent a year in Alan Scher's lab and is supposed to return for his postdoc there. Thereza Lieberman Kipnis. Intelligent, vibrant, an avant-garde woman who will always be in our minds